So what's your reaction to this news?
Peter, it's certainly welcome news. I mean, certainly for travel and tourism, Sydney being open is absolutely vital for Queensland and the other states. So it's good news. Let's hope they stay open. That's probably our major concern, that they keep opening and shutting. It seems like in a whim, and every state has a totally different policy. So that's the issue we've got, but it's good news.
Expecting bookings to fire up this morning, Graham?
Yeah, look, we found when the states were basically open before Christmas in December, bookings went crazy for a few weeks. People are a bit more circumspect now because, they've been caught by border closures on the spur of the moment. So I don't think it'll be quite the same, but our aim will be to encourage the premiers just to keep the borders open and allow the different states to control any future hotspots, which is going to happen for sure.
That 5-week shutdown, Graham, how costly was it?
Look, enormously, and we see it as an agent, in business and leisure travel. But the tourism, out of Sydney, Sydney's such a hub, and when you have metropolitan Sydney blocked off, obviously the flights in and out basically can't happen, or very few of them can. So it has enormous impact, and from what you see, New South Wales generally, I think, has handled it pretty well. And why the other states can't rely on them to handle their hotspots is one of the things that our industry just can't understand. And I think there's a lot to learn from the way New South Wales has handled this. And the other states need to trust all the states that they can handle these sort of hotspots.
Trust the process.
Mm.
Graham, you did touch on this whole stop-start situation we've got going at the moment. It is the nature of things. So are you concerned that the border will shut again in the not-too-distant future?
Yes, of course we are, mainly because the states keep doing their own thing, and rather than have a coordinated policy, a standard policy. And, really, it's from our industry, I think, widespread vaccination, both of the general population and people who are travelling, is the main answer. And the sooner that can get going, the better. And I think we'll see this out of Israel and the UK in the next month or two, how effective widespread vaccination will be. That will be the proof point, particularly Israel, over the next 6 weeks. We'll see exactly what happens when you get widespread vaccinations.
Yeah, I mean, the premiers have argued that we are in this position right now, and Australia, I think we're looking at the stats this morning, it's the 8th best country in the world when it comes to battling COVID. The reason why we are in the position that we are in now is because they have been tough, is because they have been shutting down on the borders. So do you accept that for short-term pain there is this long-term gain?
No, not really, because each of the states has a totally different policy on this, and they should be trusting each other to be able to handle hotspots. Now, we could see that Victoria couldn't in the beginning, but I think all the states now have shown, like New Zealand, that they can handle outbreaks. And the other states and, Australia, New Zealand even, should be able to trust each other to handle these hotspots without shutting borders. It has a tremendously negative impact on our travel and tourism, as well as business and other fields, of course. So I think they've got to be able to trust each other that they can handle these hotspots.
Yeah, okay. Well, you mentioned New Zealand there. There's going to be a conversation today and an announcement, in fact, on whether the travel bubble with New Zealand can reopen again after it was halted for 72 hours. What's your message, Graham?
Look, this is another case. I mean, I think it was a bit of a quid pro quo to show New Zealand that it should be a two-way bubble, not just one way, and what the impacts of having a one-way bubble when there's no reason for it. And so I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I think it will show the New Zealand government the impact of sudden shutdowns of your borders, and it should be a two-way thing. That seems obvious to me.
So Australia's sending a message. That's what you think that was?
I think so. I think so. I might be wrong.
Okay. Do you feel, Graham, that the federal government perhaps is... I mean, I spoke to our political editor, Andrew Clonell, about this yesterday. There's been a shift in their language with what they're doing. They seem to be heading down towards the elimination path now, following on from the states, given the states have been so successful. Do you agree with that?
Look, I don't think it's a good policy because this virus is... We're going to have to learn to live with this virus. And I think we have learned to deal with hotspots. But certainly one of the things I think they are a bit tardy on is really getting this vaccination program going and getting the vast majority of the population vaccinated as soon as possible.
How do you mean tardy?
Well, I don't think there doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency. And it's the only thing that I can see that's going to make a major difference even in domestic borders, let alone international borders. So the sooner a country like Australia can be largely vaccinated, the sooner things can get back to some level of normality. Although, I think everyone realised we're going to need to live with this virus. It's going to be around for years, probably. And if the vaccination works, which it looks like it does, that's really, it's the solution rather than putting Band-Aids on the, trying to go for elimination where it's really not possible in over a long period of time anyway.
Okay. Graham Turner, CEO of Flight Centre, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Peter.